25. How does it feel? I was thinking about this earlier because I woke up, I worked graveyard, and uh, I try and get at least 6 hours of sleep, though my fur babies always try and wake me up after 3 hours of sleeping so I could go take them back outside again. So, yeah, no. So I go to sleep. And anyway, I went and I took them out, right? So it's, early evening. And I come back in, and I'm not sure what I'd been dreaming or anything else like that. I don't know, because it didn't feel. There are times when I wake up and I feel that I have been attacked, or I feel that there's been something heavy going on in the dream realm, but I don't remember it, or you know what I mean? I used to get like like I'd get pulled out of it almost. And so um I don't know. But this morning I woke up, and I felt, I don't know, and it could have been coming from somebody else. You know what I mean? Here's the thing, because basically, to get to the point, I ended up crying after I got back in with my girls, and I'm starting my meditations, right? Because I did my psalms. I read my psalms early in the morning, because I go home and I let them out, and then again. And one of my fur babies, we're clashing, and she keeps peeing. She's scared of me, and I'm not quite clear why she's afraid of me. Okay, because it might not be me that she's afraid of, but whoever is hovering over me, right? Like, she's been punished before for peeing on the floor. She can hold her pee. She gets out 3 times a day at least. It's not, and I know that she's getting up there, and she possibly has a little bit of a weak bladder, you know, and that's okay. But there is such a fear in her after one, booty tap and a no, 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 that I've done a million times, right? And I forget. This little girl was, before I got her, as a puppy, she was being abused. She was being thrown. She was being put in plastic bags. She was being forced to do marijuana. I took her to a vet to get help, because I didn't know what was going on with her, and I was scared, and I didn't want to procrastinate. I did not know that this VCA, or yeah, I think it was the VCA. I did not know that the VCA would drug her up for morphine. My poor baby, that there was a stint that my poor baby, because again, Satan will use what is a natural occurrence in your life. You all right? Because there are things in your life that don't have to be the way that they are. Right? They don't have to go as far as some of it does. Like, you can be homeless and have that to, maybe you're homeless for a year, right? If that. But when you're working to get off the streets, and but then when you have people who are trying to keep you on the streets, right? Then you got that type of shit that you got to deal with. And that's what I had. I had that type of crap that I had to deal with. And so that's the same thing with my fur baby. It was like people were purposely using that opportunity to purposely attack her, right? And through me, to keep me in pain, right? Because they wanted to see my expression. People are nuts. Okay. So she was drugged up and doped up. And there's times where I notice where she'll be sitting up, and I don't think that she recognizes me, you know, um, because that was a traumatic time for her, right? And it's just been 2 weeks, and she started this pee thing. And I'm always suspicious because of the amount of people that I've had doing witchcraft on me. I remember when they attacked her, and this is Hazel. They attacked Hazel, and all of a sudden she started we were living out of a van, and there was a field next to us, and she didn't know which way she was going. So they were literally dog walking her mind. That was my first experience with that. You see what I'm saying? And then they came back to see if it had worked. And it was during that, because she was just coming out of it. You see what I'm saying? So I know about witchcraft, and I know that these fuckers, are exploiting her in some way, shape, or form. They can't. When you, I was hey there, because there was a thing. There comes a time where you have to say, hey, you know, we've been through hell and hell and back. My pity, she had been through hell and back. So when these people attacked me through my fur babies while attacking me. So I would have people who would rotate, right? That's what it felt like in the spiritual realms. I would have witches and warlocks who were trying, because the Shango shop, right, was right there. And I've told you guys the story about it. Go to um, my other podcast. But I had a whole city that was doing witchcraft on me. They were involved with trying to doing mind control and whatever, and they tried that shit with me. But I'm a human, and so when you attack a child, or when you attack our fur babies, they're relying on us. She didn't know her ass from a hole in the ground. So anyway, I believe that right now, I felt that 2025 was going to be different. um and I woke up, and after, taking them out, I cried, and then, just really reflecting on my fur baby and realizing, and because sometimes I forget she'll be okay, and then all of a sudden she'll go through this kind of it's a flashback of sorts. And it's really scary for me. It's really, and I'm sure it's scary for her. And she's peeing, but what's the hardest thing is that I don't want her to be afraid of me. you know I don't want my fur baby to be afraid of me. I want her to recognize, and that's what I'm feeling like. It kind of feels like, okay, she's not recognizing me. you know she's had a lot of mental and emotional and physical abuse. And but this was at 6 months I got her. She was a rescue, and she went through two different people, who abused her. And they were black women. They were nutty fucking black women. And I got to the point where I was thinking some black people should not have animals, because you go goo goo gaga, and then the drugs wear off, and then it's like, oh, you know. Um, but yeah, it's just, I was like, God, what is going on? And then me crying and feeling this intensity. So yeah, I don't know. But after the storm, I feel like I was hoping that we'd start immediately healing, that we'd have peace, not more problems, you know? So it's really intense right now, because I'm scared for her, right? I mean, we passed two people today on on our journeys outside. And she had gotten spanked for peeing on the floor. And I'm like, why is this? Because I think it's like right now she's like, okay, I'm gonna pee again, but I'm like, are you peeing on purpose, or are you peeing because you actually have to pee? Because on one hand, I'm not clear what she's going through as far as that's going. Like, because I was testing when we go outside, that she has this whole, she'll pee a lot. And then, but I'm like, gosh, we just went out like earlier this morning, and you didn't go and drink anything. So how are you peeing again, So I don't know. It's like the storm is never over sometimes, and it gets emotionally exhausting. And so that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of getting so exhausted. But I felt so offended today, because twice, we were out this morning, and then we were out again this evening. And she, each time she went up to another black person. Well, the first person was a trans woman, and she smelled good and everything, and had love inside. And I thought that to myself, okay, so she's attracted to this woman because she has the love inside her. And she was like, oh my God, come and get me, come and pick me up, save me from this bitch. And I'm thinking to myself, I have gone through hell and high water to make sure that you're protected and safe. as best as I possibly could. I mean, like, as you know what I mean? I'm praying over you. I'm because people are trying to control you and manipulate you to get to me. Anyway, and I know that they don't understand that, right? But I was wondering to myself, I was like, why am I so upset about this? And then there was another woman, black female, and she's, all happy and stuff like this. And, she's like, oh, hi, hi. And, then my little girl does the same thing. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, really? Like but then when it comes to looking at me, it's like, she's like, ugh, so I don't know. Because one thing, I have dogs, I have animals with personalities, and we communicate. And I know that when 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 Hazel got to me, she appreciated not being, she was resilient enough, right? Like, she was at least 5 months old, and so she was resilient still. But to know that she didn't, every time I burned sage, she was like, she would go scattering to a corner. And we were like, I'm like, nope, it's just sage. You don't, you know what I mean? But she got used to that. Every time I would open a garbage bag, she thought that she was going to go in it, and she would freak out. You know what I mean? That was at the beginning. And, it's just, it feels like towards the end of the drama and the trauma that we've been through, right? There's been these forced seasons that I know I have personally gone through, right? Like, sometimes the season just keeps lasting, not because God's putting you through anything or he thinks that you're Job. It means that your enemies don't want to give up, because they know, especially if you have grown from the experience, they want to be able to water that down to the point of it not existing for you anymore, right? They don't want you to have anything to show. And if you've had goals, like I've had goals to, like, take my babies with me. And so when they find out those goals, they try and make sure that you don't get to do that, you know? Hey, I want to have a business. I want to coach people. I want to help people. I want to do training courses. I want to build housing and buy land and put tiny homes on for the homeless, right? So you don't get to do that. I mean, I've cleaned up my credit. I've done this. I've done that. So I mean, I'm a prime candidate, at least here in America, where credit still matters, to be able, you know what I mean? I look good. That was the whole point. I look good. I look good on paper. So there wouldn't be any problems with me getting loans. But when you have people in your life that they're constantly trying to cause a storm, right? And to the point where you see it in your loved ones, right? So, I mean, I didn't have any family. I didn't have anybody helping me. I had me and my fur babies. That was it. And I realized that they did not ask for the lifestyle for what was we were being afflicted with. And God didn't say, hey, let's let me try and damn near kill you in order for you to prove that, you are who you are, or you're worthy of this life or whatever. You see what I'm saying? When you're dealing with cluster B personalities, when you're dealing with especially racist, narcissistic psychopaths, they they feel that they're above the law. And normally, they they have a way of manipulating the environment and the atmosphere, right? um, for a time, until, so that way you don't get justice, you don't get reprieve. And so, but when now everything's quieted down, and there's a gospel song that says the storm is over now. It's over now. It's over now. I feel like I can make it. The storm is over now. Right? So, and I just downloaded that again, or put it in my save for later queue. And so that's what made me think about today, is because it's like, okay, God, is the storm ever going to be over? And then when it's over, then what do we do? You know, like with all those disappointments. And I was in prayer and meditation, and I asked the Most High this question. So I'm positing it to you guys. When the storm is over, right? Or when you feel that you can be yourself, and you can, you have that room to breathe, you start feeling like yourself again, right? I had somebody that had attached to me, a human fragmented spirit that had attached to me, and with grave, like several of these people, I feel that have had like digestive issues, and I didn't before whatever witchcraft was done. I didn't have any digestive issues. Like I was pooping like soft serve, right? And which is what I'm supposed to do because what we were walking, I mean, I'm eating vegetables, I'm eating curry, those of you who like Asian, Japanese, Korean, even Indian dishes. And I've seen curry I'm an anime lover. And so sometimes the way that they cook the food in the anime is so, because of the artistry, it makes it look so yummy, it's so real. And so I've tried some of the food, cooking it myself, and so I was doing just fine. And it's infuriating when somebody has the ability to manifest what hold on, to manifest in your life what wouldn't happen, to affect people like your fur babies by exploiting a wound, like in my fur baby, I know she has PTSD, but she had healed from that. Why? Because I loved her and I nurtured her and I helped her, right? Like, I mean, there was times where I was like, she knew this, like, okay, I'm here, but there's an alpha already here. And so because you know what I mean? Dogs, one thing I realized with my fur babies, and again, we're close, and I mean, just being an empath, I couldn't hear every time, but I could hear some of the times what they were thinking, right? Especially if it was a real strong emotion. And I could see that they were disappointed, you know what I mean? That they weren't the alpha. Because when you take on an animal, when you take on a cat, let me talk about canines. When you take on a dog, they are expecting to be, and if they're with just by themselves, right? They are expecting to be the alpha. They're expecting to get all the attention. Okay? They're expecting to grow up with it because you got them, you know, and there's nowhere else around. They're expecting literally to be your baby, the number one. So when you bring another fur baby into the house, and I understand for them to play with, whatever, but but they know that there is a disappointment, and sometimes there's a jealousy, you know. Because I had another rescue, and she was a gaudy pit. She was a beautiful pitty. She was a thick pitty. Prosperity was mixed, a mixed pit, so with something else, possibly Dalmatian. And I believe she was pit and Dalmatian, but and she was just gorgeous, in her own right, very elegant, very, she loved to exercise, she loved to chase squirrels, she loved to go up trees, you know. But when I got rescued Lala, who was under horrible conditions, so I mean, like, Jesus. And not to say, because my fur baby, the first one that I got, she was under some horrible conditions too, but it was of a sexual nature, and I can't fathom why people would think that the that the anatomy of children or animals is enticing, and that it's okay. But you wouldn't believe, where I was in Sacramento, California, they did the most like that. I mean, like, it was a normal occurring thing that was absolutely disgusting, but that everybody knew was going on. And it was just, and people would do it. It's weird, that there was no police, raids or anything else like that. And I would see these people walking these, just, oh God, it was horrible. But, so, so we had that stint. So I was feeling some kind of way, and I was like, gosh, and I was talking to my fur baby tonight. I was like, dude, I think you're overreacting. You've been getting little butt taps, right? And she was good for a few days last week, and then again, she's like, okay, well, I may pee, and I'm like, it's okay, just come on, and I started just to put an old shirt down for her or whatever. So, even though the storm is over, I think that I don't even know what to say. It's just it's almost as if there's some shock factor that's going on, and I know that maybe it doesn't make sense because I'm still trying to make sense of it. Like I said, I woke up and took them out, and all of a sudden, I literally had a crying fit. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in my sleep. I thought, you know what I mean? I thought I woke up peaceful. I didn't wake up to any demonic attachments to me because I've had that happen and I've had to purge that demonic entity. I told you guys on another live about the bitch who I found was a monitoring spirit, and I had asked God after seeing her in the flesh, and then and he answered my question by letting me see her in the spirit as I woke up, you know? So yeah, it feels weird, um, because I don't know about you guys, but I've had a lot of false starts. You know, I've had a lot of false starts as far as, hey, I'm going to get housing, or I'm going to move to a better environment, or I'm going to start this business, or now I've started this channel. I'm going to work on getting clients. Right. And I mean, it's, and it's hard. I cannot express to you guys, like I had this channel. I started it in August 2020, and I was full of passion, and I was going, and every single time I would get sabotaged, something would happen, you know. And then on top of that, if I wouldn't have my channel or anything else sabotaged, then I would have to deal with the threat of people trying to break into my hotel room, right? Because they were mad that I was buying stuff, right? I had a lot of people who couldn't fucking mind their own business, right? So even after the storm is over, I believe that it is normal to feel numb, right? I noticed that I was feeling numb. I noticed that I wasn't, I was kind of choked up, and because I think my body can sense, it's like, okay, we're done, we're good, you know. Um, and sometimes doing the things that I would normally do, like, listen to some calming, soothing music, some music that touches my soul, right? That gets me balanced, and then reading the Psalms, um, doing my mantras or whatever. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel numb and I feel irritated and agitated, and that was another thing that God pointed out to me yesterday, was that, and this, because it's already, I'm doing graveyard, so it's already in the morning time for me. And another thing that he pointed out was like, look, you're irritated. You're irritated, and it's just the way that it is. You're irritated, and she can feel that, you know. Um, Whether you're purging, and I thought, okay, maybe I thought I'd purged enough. But purging can happen in many ways. Purging can happen in a bowel movement. Purging can happen through crying. Purging can happen through, fasting. Purging can happen through talking. There's different ways that you can purge, and before it starts to really go. And I think maybe sometimes, maybe this morning, or this afternoon, my tears were because, is it finally over? I'm feeling relaxed and relief, but I've had false starts before. So is this something where can I really heal now? Because this person took 8 years from me. They took 8 years to make sure that I would not be a success in anything that I did. They wanted to make sure. They sent other people to make sure that I wouldn't be a success in anything that I did. I even had people monitoring me because this person was treating me as if we were in a sexual relationship so that I wouldn't have relationships with other people. I was talking to my kin, is what I call my soulmate, at the time, and we were telepathically communicating, right? It's like when you know who your kin is, and they get to know you, they get to know the type of person. So we would talk I mean, like, it was almost as if we were dating in the ethers. That's how deep we were talking. And and it wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal, but it was like, this is the way that it is. And I was at that time just like getting used to being aware of my spiritual gifts and having those enhanced, right? And I was also trying to protect my lives and the lives of my kids. That's what I've been doing this whole time, you know, this whole time. In between, getting these little snippets and gems and stuff, and then sharing them on TikTok or on YouTube or whatever. But it slowly started to fade out, because every time I'd go to try and revamp or do a workshop or whatever, then I'd get sabotaged, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of putting in all this work. And those of you who are content creators, those of you who are coaches, you know exactly what it's like to have to start over. You know what time and effort that you put into it. Those of you who are parents, or fur parents, right? You know how much time and effort, especially if you have a challenge, s- a baby who's emotionally challenged, or medically challenged. You know what it's like. It's not an easy thing, you know. And so when people come into your life to make that just amount of harder, so I had to pray. It's like, what? God, I believe, but help thou with my unbelief. I have a mustard seed of faith right now, and maybe a half a mustard seed of faith, because you know what I mean? And sometimes that's just the way it is, you know? And I've already always taught you guys, have phoenixes, to be transparent with the Most High. You don't have to be transparent with people, because it's none of their business, right? But you can be transparent with the Most High, because the Most High already knows your thoughts, already knows your deeds, already knows your yearning. If you're feeling discontent, that's a spiritual there's a spiritual blockage there, right? And of course, we'd like to just start anew, before the new year. But if there's something blocking you, you have to start questioning it. So that's what I'm sharing with you guys, is that I am going to the Most High and be like, hey, I need help with this, because it seems to me that I'm scaring my fur baby. And I don't, but in what the way that I'm looking at it is that I'm just doing what I'm doing, right? But she's afraid of me, afraid to the point where she wants to um, leave and go to who she considers to be more loving, And actually, I don't blame her. I feel hurt because, I've loved up on her, and I've bought her stuff, and you know what I mean? I've built a relationship with her. Um, but it gave me pause, because it's like, okay, well, if she's feeling this way about me, what is it that I'm really projecting, And I think it's because the storm is over, but now I'm sitting here with agitation. Now I'm like, oh wow, this happened to me. And so now that frustration, now that anger. So basically, you're going through the stages of grieving, right? You're going through the stages of grieving, and because now it's time for you to heal, right? And you can't push it forward. And had to remind myself that too. I can't force anything to go any faster than what it's gone. I tell you guys, I am so impatient. And even after the Most High revealed that to me, I was like, okay, because God said your impatience has screwed up your blessings. It's not that I wasn't going to answer you. I don't, so I used to get into relationships, right? And because I'm a giver, and because I'm just like click, 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 and people used to say you got a ticker tape mind, right? And I just like click, 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 you know, and I'm doing this. And so, it's people, I never thought that other people were doing anything for me. And the reason why is because they were never doing it fast enough. You know, I had girlfriends who were like getting me flowers or whatever, but it's because they didn't get it fast enough. I was like, ah, fuck it. You don't like me, you don't want to be with me, you just, here I am doing all the work again. And what it was is that I wasn't being patient for her. It wasn't that she wasn't thinking about me. Why would she be with me if she wasn't thinking about me? I mean, go and do what you do, dude. Sorry, I got this asshole out here. Um, but you go, and so I would always be waiting. It's like, oh, what are you? You're not doing this. You're not doing that because you're not keeping up to speed with me, right? But people have different ways of expressing love language. Even if you guys have the same love language, it's not that they're going to it's going to manifest in a different way. It's not going to manifest in the way that you would do it, right? And so I lost out on a lot of, good potential relationships because uh because I was impatient, and them I took them not not hurrying up and showing me you love me, you know what I mean? There's a joke that says, Virgos are like right now, and that is true. That is true. So I missed out on a lot. So, even after the storm, it's a reminder, now that the storm is over, then what we have to do is to take our time to grieve. As you know what I mean? And for me, it's painful because I thought, okay, I'm going to leave a legacy for my family. I'm going to leave, I'm going to help something. I'm going to do something, you know, this was my desire. I had it all planned out. I had it all mapped out. I took all the courses, I mean, I spent a lot of money. I had to spend money on my LLC. I spent money to help get to help me get my credit up to par. I spent money to, advertise and all this other kind of stuff. I spent money, right? And it's when somebody comes in and sabotages you. So, but, the Most High right now is saying we shouldn't be worrying about that, right? We shouldn't be worrying about what we lost or whatever. Just heal, right? Just heal. And I think that's the most important thing is to heal, allow yourself to go through the grieving stages of loss, right? Because some of us have been under so much um, turmoil, right? So much witchcraft, so much gang stalking, right? These guys, I have a landlord who just he gets a kick off of coming on to my page, but I disabled my TikTok, so I'm not doing that anymore because they were hanging on to it and stuff like this and watching it. So I figure if they want to come here, if these gang stalkers want to come here to my uh, channel on YouTube and watch my profile and watch what I'm saying or whatever, because a lot of it I'll post them on here. They were having a heyday last month, and I was just catching them left and right. It was really weird because it was like I was on the outside looking in. I was the target, but I was looking in as if I was the viewer, as if I was the audience. So it was really weird. But I got them posted up on here too. So, but yeah, let yourself go through the healing, the grieving. And so the first stage is anger, and I'm feeling anger, right? I didn't get to fully, grieve the death of my fur baby in August. I didn't get to do that because I was under attack. I thought I was getting ready to die too, you know? So it's been, and I was just thinking about that. So get prepared because now that, the gang stalkers are kind of like at bay, the narcissists are, trying to play victim now because they know that you're coming in on something, right? And if since they didn't beat you, now they're going to try and join you because they want that that was what they were after in the first place was your pot of gold. So now they're going to be like, well, remember when I did this for you, I went through that and that was uncomfortable. But what you'll find is that narcissists are beyond minimalists. They do the bare minimum. These bitches don't even breadcrumb right. They give you a few kernels of sand and expect you to be grateful for it. I mean, like that's seriously how they work. They don't they're not into doing big things like we are. You know what I mean? Like if somebody comes to me for help, I'm going to have a list for you. I'm going to have some resources for you. I'm going to have a little bit of pocket money for you. I'm going to make you a plate. You see what I'm saying? That's the type of help that I give, you know? When a narcissist does that, so when they come back talking about trying to make you feel guilty or trying to make you feel ashamed, right? You don't, it's just time to shut them down, you know? And again, the narcissists, they are like F5 tornadoes, so that storm, now we're starting to see, okay, what kind of debris is left? What kind of what what's the damage really? Like we were able to maintain a little bit, but like let's get some, let's let's get a surveyor out here. Let's see actually what the true damage is, and to feel that, you know it's all right to feel angry that somebody came into your motherfucking life that you didn't want to come in, that you didn't ask to come in. You weren't even doing toxic behavior and they came in anyway. You dig it? Put it in perspective. You know, they came in anyway. Not because but that's what people are doing nowadays. They're forcing themselves in because too many of us have learned and we're not even engaging. There was a new security guard, and I'm coming up and into the place, into my apartment complex, and he's like trying to again, like, interact. I don't want to interact with you motherfuckers, right? If you're toxic, and it doesn't even matter if you're toxic, and I'm not even paranoid about it. I just don't I'm tired of interacting with people right now. I just want to be with Tennille. And that's okay. That's okay, right? Like I mean, this I'm still like trying to find the root cause of people, because we've always had narcissists, and they've always been nosy. But this is like a virus of some sort where you got people who just can't mind their own damn business and are always looking for, a reason to come into other people's energy. What the fuck do you have to do with somebody else that you didn't pay rent for? You're not paying their rent. You're not paying a goddamn bill. You're not even paying gas for the car. You're not buying groceries. You're not doing shit. But you want to come up and be in somebody else's business. You see me? And then get offended. I was still just thinking today, it's like I walk my dogs and people run up to them. And I have people who get mad at me because I tell them, no, do not touch my dogs. Because here's my thing too, and I don't have to explain it to anybody, but the fact that I have grown adults who are in their 60s getting upset because I've set a boundary. I've shown you guys on another playlist, a guy in a wheelchair who got mad, and because I did this, and every time he sees me now, he wishes that I was smeared in shit. He said, he told me also, he goes, I wish that you would just hang yourself in your room. Why would I do that, dude? Oh, you're a fat ass and da 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 da. Anything to break my self-esteem. And you know what triggered him? Me removing what he didn't have access, that he was trying to force access on. You know what I mean? So that's why my fur baby's scared, because she has people like that coming up to her. He almost hit her with his wheelchair, like literally. And I got him on video doing it. You know, so if I got him on video doing it, then I mean, what's the argument? That's what I'm trying to understand. What the fuck is the argument? Right? So, just be aware that people, when you start grieving, that means that you're going to start healing. When you start healing, that means that you're going to start coming into, uh, uh, a place of love, a place of, because you're going to be enveloped in the most high, into the Most High. You dig it? You're going to be enveloped in them. And they're going to be mad about it because that's what they were trying to keep you from, if not be a part of.
It's getting worse.
All right, go. Thank you.
It's growing. Look. Mold has gotta be right here if we want. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
We can be right here if we want.
I don't want you in front of me.
Who are you?
Security.
We can be right here if we want to be. This is a public area.
So I don't want you in front of me.
I don't want you in front of me.
You're the one that moved here, asshole.
Moved here? Walk here. We're walking here. We're just looking at the clock.
You moved right here, dummy.
Yeah, we're looking at the clock.
So look and move. No, I don't think so, motherfucker. Yeah, and keep walking, motherfucker.
What?
Come through if you want to. Come through if you want to. But you want to keep running your fucking mouth. You want to keep running your mouth. You want to keep running your mouth. You ain't going to do nothing but walk. You ain't going to keep running but walk in your mouth. Just go. Go already, dummy. Go already, dummy. Go already, dummy. Go already, dummy. Go already, white supremacist. Go on the wedding. Fucking junkie. Yeah, and F you too, junkie. Come through. Come through. Learn to shut up. Think I'm the fucking one, dude. I'm not. I do not give a fuck about you people. I am tired of it. If you want to be toxic, you be toxic on your own goddamn time. But you will leave me alone. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not playing with anybody. I had one of my favorite readers, and that was staged. He was just wanted to come here and start some shit. And that's what I have a lot of times is just people who want to interact, right? They want to interact so bad. Somebody's challenged them to interact. And so I don't care. Like I've told them, they're not paying me enough to do this job. And I am always going to put myself first. I don't give a shit if Boo Boo the fool is trying to tell me that I don't have a reason. These motherfuckers literally stood right in front of me. You see what I'm saying? Like how are you not trying to start some shit? And I get this. There's sometimes it's a little bit more intense than just whatever. And you got these new guys who think that they're all superior and whatnot, and they can talk the gift for gab or whatever. You're on the streets, dude. I'm not on the streets. I got myself up off the streets. You're the one sitting there talking shit. You're the one that feels like you're entitled to other people's time. You coming through my time, I am going to make sure that I take your fucking breath away. And that's just how it is. So in 2025, I made a pact with myself that I was not going to allow people just to keep fucking with me. You know? And a lot of times I'll have somebody, people who are, again, that's why I'm telling you guys have to make sure that you have strong fucking boundaries. That you have strong boundaries. Because you are going to have people that are trying to challenge you every single fucking day. Every single fucking day. just and would do weirdo shit, like stand in front of you and then ask you why you, you know, the gaslighting, ask you why you're upset about it. So yeah, I don't play. I had that happen a couple nights ago. I had somebody who oh god, what did they do? They were coming up with something, and they were in a crowd, and they decided that they wanted to roll up on me there. So it's like I'm right outside. I'm at the corner. I'm at the corner. And guess what I'm at the corner of? I'm at the corner of prostitution. I'm at the corner of mental illness. I'm at the corner of homelessness. You know what I mean? These guys, I'm at the corner of drug dealing and drug addicts. And that's just real. That's where I'm at the corner of. You know, I had a guy the other day who was who I caught uh 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 you know, trying to bomb rush me in some way, and it didn't work. You know, so I'm a security guard who works out here in these fucking streets where these karmics and these demonic entities thrive within these homeless people, within these drug addicts, within these, you know, narcissists. They thrive. And then when you set your boundaries and you come up at them, because I don't know if you guys are still on the line, but if you heard, you know, I have a little baton, and I could hear somebody using a little taser or whatever, and I think they wanted to kind of say, hey, you know, I'm going to dare you to use it. Well, come through, come through. You know, like people do that. They want to challenge you. I have a coworker who is I mean, like I've never met such a narcissistic, psychopathic child like him, you know, and he got his ass handed to him. But he still likes to try and do digs, right? There's people, and what you're going to find in 2025 is that even though it feels like the storm is over, you're going to have people that are still going to try and instigate stuff with you. You know, now if those people weren't up in front of me, I would have just ignored them because that's what I've been doing, right? Like since I've been talking, I've had people passing by, and some of them get too close, some of them, you know, murmur something, and it's none of my, you know what I mean? But when you stand in front of me and try and challenge me, I don't care, you know? And that's what I was just talking about. So you guys got to be careful for 2025 because they're out here and they think that you should care, right? And these guys are, to engage with them, I always feel like I'm talking to a child. And that's what it is. It's like, well, we can stand here. It's like, no, it's not. You can stand, but not in front of me. Because now your free will is invading my free will. And since I'm the one with the badge and I'm the one doing security, yeah, I'm going to win no matter what. You know? And I think that's what our enemies don't understand is that we're winners no matter what. We're winners regardless. Regardless. Because if you want to get a reaction out of me, it's not going to be an infantile type of reaction. It's going to be something I'm going to come from a place of authority because I don't have to let you stand in front of me. You know? And you were instigating before they even reached my corner. Because I peered over and I looked. So yeah. Every time lately since I've been doing these lives, every time, man, I'm like, it's like there's an incident that happens, and you guys will hear me cuss and just be like, "Fuck it, dude," because I'm just not in the mood for it. I can't be that type of transformational coach. You know, I'm in the trenches, right? I'm in the trenches, and the fact that I've survived what I'm describing to you guys, I haven't even described half of what I've been through. And if I were to describe it, you wouldn't believe it, which is why I'm glad I'm a filmmaker. I pray that I get to at least have one thing that I've, you know, that where I can write about it and, you know, whatever, at least, and people can read about it. But this is true stuff. But people don't want to believe Black people when they say, hey, you know, we've gone through this. Like I've had, when you have people who are literally trying who are not trying, but they are using witchcraft in order to dominate you, or you get little creatures that are, whatever it is that they're infusing, right? You go to the Shango shop and they got all these kind of dolls and stuffed animals, and you feel these pricks and pins, and or you have human fragmented spirits that are sick and toxic and they want to get healed, and you know what I mean. You guys wouldn't believe it, because I'm not white. If I was white, you guys would believe the shit that I tell you about, the occult practices that I've had, the rituals that I've had done on me. There isn't had I go three. I've been going 3 to 4 months where every to 4 months somebody's trying to do a death ritual on me. Somebody's trying to get me fired from my job. You know, something. Somebody's trying to get me used to marijuana or whatever. You know what I mean? There's things that these guys do, and the the best thing that I can do is sometimes ignore it. But I'm not going to. When you stand in front of me, that triggers me. That triggers me, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm triggered. You need to get the fuck away from me. Period. We got to start getting real in these streets because people are getting bolder. People are getting real bold. I've had people come across the street, come across the corner from where I am. That's why I put my chair a little. I said, let me get like at least 25 feet away, right? Put my back up against the wall. And one of my coworkers actually told me. And actually, let me tell you guys, my coworkers are the ones that told me, the good coworkers, the healthy coworkers, were the ones that told me to get a weapon, because we're out here and nobody's doing anything. There's the guy who works on the same shift, and that motherfucker sleeps. There's another guy, he works 2 jobs. If I were to call him, he'd come right away. But the one guy, he's just dead weight. Like he's literally just here to watch his little movies and whatever. And that, which is fine, that's the way that he wants to be. But really, I don't have that type of I'm not in an environment where I have quick access, right? Even though we're not too far from the police station, right? Still don't have quick access. So it was my coworkers who like they kept telling me, get protection, get protection, get protection, get protection, get protection. Like literally they kept telling me that, dude. So, I mean, I think it was for about 3 months. They were like, look, you need to have protection out here. Right. And then towards the end, before New Year's, I think it was like in November, they were like, do you have protection? And and I think that they meant it for my coworker, because my coworker was causing beef because he was mad, that we weren't talking to him. I had separated myself from them. So he was trying his damnedest to create a hostile environment because he was mad at me. And then he'd go, because we both live in the same place, and he'd go to them and to do the same thing. But you're talking to people who have no authority. So this is what I'm talking about. You're talking to people. It's just when you're dealing with narcissists, it's just the fucking hardest thing. So when you get from underneath them, like, and the energy starts to shift and you start to feel like yourself and you start to breathe, and then you take a look at the damage outside and you see all the destruction and you see all the the effects of this F5 tornado that has been rummaging through your life for God knows how long, right? To eat, everybody has 1 to 3 to 5 to 10, 15, 20 years that they've been dealing with a narcissistic psychopath, and they have lost themselves. And then when you get out of it and you say, okay, like shit. I mean, like, I'm surprised that, well, number one, it's relief. And then number two, it's like, I'm pissed because, like, how dare you do this to my life? You know, how dare you do this to my life? So acknowledge this. I think it's the 7 steps of grieving. Acknowledge that this is the process that you're going to have to go through. Now that you can see clearly, now that you can breathe, you're going to be pissed off that this is what this person did to you. This person was an adult baby who decided that they wanted to bully other people using big boy and girl toys that were at their disposal, or that they paid for, or that they manipulated their flying monkeys into, going and getting and using or whatever. You see, it's normal to be pissed off. It's normal, right? It's normal to cry. One of my biggest things was crying, right? Like I was crying so much, and I think it comes from the fact that when I became homeless, it's like I just lost myself. I was like, oh my God, like my life just turned upside down. Like I didn't think I was going to have to go through all this, but that's what happens when you have people blocking you from resources on purpose, because they want to humiliate you. They want to shame you because you set a boundary, and that was disrespectful to our gang, right? That was disrespectful. Everybody, I noticed that these narcissists, they're always about, you got to respect me. You're being disrespectful. You don't respect me. I'm not in a fucking, you know what? You haven't seen disrespect, but the disrespect came when you violated my spiritual space. That's when the disrespect came. You didn't think that I knew about it. So now I'm reacting to that. And the fact that I can describe the spiritual disrespect that you did, I told one guard that I knew that he had a mushroom pee because, you're astral projecting to me and you're trying to have sex with me, but you can't get it. You know what I mean? And the fact that this person would you're not using astral projecting to get any information to save the world, or to prevent us from going into a Holocaust, or to find child molesters or whatever. Why? Because you're the sexual predator. It's mind-boggling that people will use occult practices to do sexually perverted shit that they know that they shouldn't be doing. You know that you shouldn't be doing it. But then when somebody calls them out, they want to act like the victim, or they want to say, oh, that person's crazy or schizophrenic. No, that's you. That's you all the way. From dusk till dawn, dude. That's you. So yeah, I called him out really good. And he was so embarrassed and ashamed. And he kept saying, like this, and the guy this is what it's like to be in a psychosis for somebody, when you're not in a relationship with somebody, but you still are trying to force that relationship because it's in your mind. Like, you know what I mean? I can't take what's in somebody else's mind, but I can block you from making me a character in your sim game. Do you dig it? I can block you from making me a character in your sim game. And that's what these people are really pissed off about. They're pissed off because you can also travel in between worlds. I downloaded a book, Jiminy's, talking about human fragmented spirits, basically, so humans who are alive, and they fragment their spirits, and they go and and this was a Christian author, Ezekiel somebody, and he writes a lot of books. He did incubuses and succubus wives and husbands. And I read a bit of that. I got a playlist, but this was a new one, and it's oh God, I forgot the name of it, but I downloaded it, and this this woman had basically like a home for women who had been in the occult and escaped. And so the one woman that she had at her house would would be possessed by another person who would then use that woman's body to try and unalive her, you know? So I'm not the only one talking about this. So everybody can't be schizophrenic. Everybody can't be, you know, brainwashed or crazy or whatever just because you don't read the books that I read, right? And I don't consider myself a Christian, right? I consider myself a spiritualist, right? So if I'm reading those types of books, then they're obviously, you know, it's if other that's of course other people are thinking about it. You dig it? Other people are having these experiences, and that's what she's telling people, you know. So like the saying goes, not all of us uh have, you know, if not all of us can be wrong. So anyway, yeah, so when the storm's over and, you know, the narcissist has to go, they're still going to be fighting you tooth and nail. And if it's an energy over a place, because what I see too out here in these streets are people who can't let go either, you know. um, and they start acting out in various ways. When I was in Sacramento, California, when my gang stalking with the Nortaniels started, you know, stalking me and trying to unalive me, one thing I saw were the people who were doing these rituals, right? That's why I say it's like with certain cultures, right? These are Mexicans, or they don't consider themselves Latinx, Latino, or Hispanic or anything. They just say that they're Mexican. So I'll say that. But you know, when they're doing these rituals to these fake gods and whatever, um, which is actually for them, it's reflective of, you know, their Aztec ancestry, where they were giving, you know, human sacrifices at hearts to this reptilian god, you know. And it's like, and even they, in order to, so they've been practicing the occult for a long fucking time, you know. They've been manipulating other people for a long time. It's ingrained in them. So, you know, when they were coming after me, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to shut up. You know, I'm going to keep talking about you guys. I'm going to keep sharing what you're doing as you're doing it, because you're doing it. You know what I mean? And then when I got bolder and I started videotaping more and whatever, it's like, then, then they were like, oh, now she's putting us on blast for real because we're getting caught. Now we can't say that she's, you know, a schizo or anything else like that, because now we know that she has us on film. She has us on video. And so I would keep putting them on video and keep putting them on video, because it's like, if you want to do something, then do something. You know, I'm not going to allow myself to be victimized by you, but to have to go through that for years and years and years, you know. And a lot of you have gone through different, you know, just the cluster B personality has or the toxicity has shown up in different ways, and most of it was that you didn't even do anything, you know. I mean, like, really, because I've and people have said, you know, my enemies have said, oh yeah, you never do anything. No, bitch, I never do anything to you. Like the asshole that I was talking to in the wheelchair. It's like, dude, every time you see me outside, you try and run us over, and then you sit there and talk your shit, you know, and nobody is doing anything to you. So if nobody's doing anything to you, then why do you keep attacking? You know? And that's something that these guys want to do, because they want that fucking attention. And when you don't give these parasites that attention, then they start trying to create something that they feel that, oh, well, if you aren't going to give me attention, then I'm going to act like a 3-year-old little child. You dig it? And if you don't want me, then I'm going to go and I'm going to throw a temper tantrum and la da 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 da. You know? So imagine having to deal with people like that for years. And then finally you get to fucking breathe. You know? I just had a guy do the same thing, sit there and stare at me. You know? So people are crashing out, and they've already crashed out. And if they've already crashed out, that means that that there's no coming back for them. You know, like people are lonely. I know what it's like to be lonely. It's a lonely road when you're when you're targeted. It's a lonely road because they're literally taking, like, you can be a hermit, but they're taking that even. They're saying that, okay, well, if you don't stay a hermit and if you don't go deeper in, because I don't want you interacting with anybody, you know? I had, what was it? It was like 2 weeks ago. Well, before, yeah, a week ago, before, about a week and a half, I think, right now. Before I'm I'm coming back and I'm talking to this lady. She does like a taxi little thing, and I'm talking to her, and we're having good conversations. I mean, she's an awesome person to talk to, and I am literally being watched by other tenants who are just outside smoking and drinking, and they're watching me as if, you know. And one guy gets up and he starts acting as if I'm not supposed to be talking to her, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what the hell is this guy's problem? You know, because we keep, and we're both noticing it. And so, you know, she's not as vocal and bold as I am. And I'm like, you know, I'll call you out. Like, what the hell? You know, and I started having people just sitting there staring at us talking. And I mean, I'm no shit. They're sitting there and they're staring at us talking. And I was like, and what I could see in the spiritual realm from one of them was that it was the accusation that like I was cheating or on somebody. I'm thinking, I'm not with anybody, you know? And just because you're in a psychosis thinking that because you're astral projecting to me or you're fantasizing about having a relationship with me and all that entails, that it's really true. It's not. So this is what our world has come to, you know? And it's, I mean, like, and I don't think that it's race specific. I think that because I got a white boy who you know thinks that he's Mexican, but thinks that he's in with the brothers because his mom named him Kareem, you know, and he thinks that I care about his life and I don't. You know, the reason why, again, you know, I've talked about him, I'm not going to go into it because he's literally is a scumbag. Like, he's a nasty, I mean, dark, evil creature. Like, I'm like, whoa, dude. But yeah, he, you know, broke into my place, attacked my fur babies. And then was like, well, you know, now that your other dog's dead, you can have sex. This is what I heard. You know, so right now, people have revealed how ugly their hearts are. That's what they've revealed. They've revealed how ugly they are inside and out. I couldn't believe that when I heard that, you know, like, and it, I have people who can't talk to me in the flesh, and don't want me talking to anybody else in the flesh, right? Like, I've never had so many stands in my life. Like, you know, I have never had this many. I don't even. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, oh my god, dude, like, really, like, I mean, you know, because I don't think about stuff like that, but I've had to, you know, because my mind doesn't go there. My mind goes on, what can I create, you know? I am so grateful that I have this. I'm so grateful that I have that. My mind is on the higher things in life. My mind's is on, you know, the spiritual plane, the you know, evolution, the whatever, you know what I mean? I'm not thinking about shit like that. I'm not thinking about, oh, how can I astral project? How can I project my diseases onto other people? How can I rape somebody through astral projecting? How can I get, you know, use mind control to try and get them? You know, I'm not thinking about all that shit. You know, I don't care. And people get mad because I don't care. And that's what upsets me. It's like you're getting mad because I don't care that you're in a psychosis. Your psychosis has nothing to do with me, you know? So I mean, that's just some of the things that we've been through in 2024. I mean, look at the headlines in the news where people were like, yeah, uh, you know, uh, I'm gonna, I like this person, and so I'm gonna go ahead and attack them. Like, who does that? Who does that? Sick people do that. People who are character disturbed. People who are dysregulated. I mean, like, that's a beyond dysregulation, and they know what they're doing. You know what you're doing when you're doing it. And we still have people who try and attack other people for shock factor. When I was when gangstalking, when I was in Sacramento, California, and they were gangstalking me, I had people, and see, they get to know you, right? They get to know you. They get to know, they watch you. It's like, okay, she's going to the store at this time. She likes her fur baby. She's in love. That's why they're astral stalking you, because they want to know, they want to be able to see you without any hindrance. Okay. So they're remote viewing, they're astral projecting. And so they get to know you. So I would have people who would, they know, okay, she's going to go to the dog park because she doesn't want to be around people. So she's going to take her dogs to the dog park, and we're going to drop these dogs off here. You see what I'm saying? And then, you know what I mean? Like, especially if they knew that I had lost a fur baby, and these were Mexicans, right? And so now I'm in further south of the state, from Sacramento, and they did the same thing when I lost my other fur baby. Then they started bringing their dogs around, and kind of like, oh, I still have my dog, right? But nobody asked you. Who asked you? And these guys are really insidious. They will do things. They will plant, like, oh yeah, they'll say little things that they know that you'll respond to, because it's a soft subject for you. So they, you know what I mean? Like, when I went to my storage, and the lady was like, oh, we're doing the best we can, ma'am. It's like, okay, but you're not, though. I told her, I was like, you didn't get in touch with me. You could have emailed me. You know what my email address is. You didn't want to deal with it. You see? So now you're trying to blame me, and then blame me for what you put me through. You're the one that broke into my storage. Nobody came from the outside and used bull cutters, like you couldn't see it. Like, why weren't you patrolling? You see what I'm saying? But then she gave herself away. So I knew it was her. Spiritually, I knew it was her. And then she confirmed it by giving herself away. But the way that people start acting, it's like, she blocked me from going and doing any investigation. But now I'm going to put your storage by the cameras, okay, bitch. But it's just weird. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's been exhausting for many of us, like I said. And I'm just recounting because the storm has been deep. And the storm is not something that, even in our worst days, why would we create that kind of shit for ourselves? And some of us, we didn't even give them a foothold. We didn't even give them an opening. They just started doing it on their own. And like, I can't, if if you're choosing to come after me, you know what I mean, then there's going to be responsibility. Now they have to pay that price. They have to pay the price of trying to unalive people. And so some of the people who are around you while you're grieving, right, you may see that you may get justice. I am not of that vein that we should not be able to get excited because somebody is no longer here with us in this realm. Because I know the things that I was put through. I know what I cried through by myself alone. And I had to get up and work that whole week, a 50-hour week. I didn't have time to cry. So some of us, now that the storm is over, get ready for your mind and body to feel relaxed enough, and you start purging in the form of crying, purging in the form of being angry, right? Make sure you got a gym membership or something that you could lift or work out at home. Dig it? Punch a pillow. I came around along this black girl's breathe and, just meditations, free meditations. And I did that this morning. I think that's what made me release and cry, because sometimes it hasn't been safe for us to do so. Sometimes it hasn't been safe for us to grieve because you have people who have gone above and beyond the need to, to be in your energy. Right? And I will tell you something. Having somebody play mind games having somebody physically beat you is a whole nother. It's kind of like beer and hard liquor and vodka, right? Those are going to affect you in two different ways. Okay, so that's like, for having somebody beat you physically is different than having somebody play mind games with you, right? One's going to last longer. Right? It's amazing how, like, I know that you hit me, but that shit goes away. You see what I'm saying? What doesn't go away is you trying to reshift my noodles, right? Is you trying to reshift my brain to fit whatever bullshit you got going on, right? But what really has a hard time going away is when people are doing witchcraft to an extent where that they're fragmenting themselves in order to be in your presence. I have never been so fucking violated in my life. Right? If you guys don't believe me, read or no, go to Netflix if you have a Netflix, or look up uh, Between Her Eyes, and it's a show on Netflix. Just not trigger warning, but it's basically a guy has body swapped. A human who was alive swapped souls with another human, went into her body, taught her how to do it, went into her body, and then killed her, unalived her. Dig it? Unalive. Sorry, there's people arguing. Unalived her. That's what I said. So some people are really frustrated right now, and I'm feeling it too. And I'm thinking that you guys are feeling it, some of it too, if you're on here. You resonate. And so he unalived her and took over her female. This is a male who took over, a gay male who took over a female's body. So tell me that shit's not real. Tell me that it's not real. Because that's what I've been going through, is somebody literally trying to take over my body. Literally trying to take over my body. Our mind, our persona. It's more than that. You know what I mean? It's more than just taking on characteristics of you, your personality traits, So once so basically you have, being beat physically, having people play with your mind, and then having people literally try and kill your soul and take over. You see? Those are all different violations. So yeah, whether you realize it or not, I'm not asking everybody to see, to just admit that they've had that same type of experience. But I will tell you this: if you are dealing with a cluster B personality, you are dealing with somebody who is a fragmented demonic, who is fragmented and has demonic entities that are attached to them, and has given them the ability to do certain things. Like the book I was telling you about, the Christian book, where the lady was like, the ex-occult member would be possessed by another human fragmented spirit. Right? So this person's alive and they're possessing this woman who's practicing the occult. Just like LaVey was said to have been trying to possess his own daughter, I think. And so he would go into her body. Okay. He thought that was going to be okay. You want to talk about emotional incest. So LaVey thought that it was okay for him to violate his own daughter and go into her body. And he got his silver cord cut. And he couldn't reach his own body again. you know? And I was one of those people because I grew up, Holy Roller Black Baptist, and it was it was really interesting. I mean, there was a lot of things that scared me, that I didn't want to be a part of. There was a lot of music that scared me. I mean, I grew up with soul music. I listened to different kinds of music, though. That was one of the things I'm very much eclectic in my music. Right now, it's a lot of just ambient and chill. I've gone back to some 90s playlists. I'm like, yep, I'm good to go. you know I gotta have music right now. Whatever these guys are playing, it's just not music to me anymore. You know what I mean? I'm getting tired of people. I mean, we've had this for over 30 years, 50 years, where people are stripping and showing all cleavage and showing whatever, and I'm just tired of that vein. It's gross to me now. I want some good loving. I grew the 80s and the 90s to and early 2000s music was still somewhat about love. It started to most you could find more. They were into R&B ballads. There were rock ballads, right? They're standing on the top of a mountain playing a guitar. The Eagles. I mean, like, come on, good music. But I was young when I was listening to all the 70s music. I do the Dick Casey or something like that in his top 10, top 20, top 100 in the New Year's. I think he's passed away, but yeah, I mean, though that was the highlight. Music has always been a savior for me. Always been a savior. And so yeah. I forgot what got me off to that, but yeah. So, I mean, and I think just too, even if you haven't gone through the same things that other people have gone through, because we're all on all different roads, we're all on different pathways. Okay, even if you haven't gone through the same stuff, don't be afraid to look at. So that's what I was saying. Don't be afraid, like I was for so long, to look into it. I think because God introduced it to me, had people come into my life to introduce that type of stuff to me for a reason. And if I would have if I would have started, I would have, and I was just thinking this too, and I got a vision in my head, and I don't know what it was from, but I just let it roll. But because it was harmless, but it was just a vision of, I think, a piece of me, part of me, at a certain time, that was like, oh, if I would have started reading these books, right, and then more about it would have been revealed. Because a lot of times, and I've said this before in other lives, a lot of times you have to expand so that your God gets bigger when you read bigger. Okay, your God gets bigger when you read bigger. Period. So my God got bigger. Hold on. My God got bigger because I read bigger. I read more. Keep going, motherfucker. You wanted people to know that you pissed on the street. You pissed. Go. Jesus. Guy took a piss and he kept wanting somebody to look at him. It's like, God, what is going on with people? This is what I'm talking about. So you have to be careful, because there's just crazy people walking the fucking street. Like, I want you to watch me piss. He could be drunk. But yeah, and I've said this before, you have to go outside of the box, right? And actually, that's where we find God. We find God outside of man's dictate, right? Man says you got to be this by this age, you got to have done that by that age, and nobody's going to want you if you're this age. I struggle with that, right? Because I was waiting for me to grow up. I wasn't a good catch before. You know what I mean? I was a good catch for a lower, for a mid-level toxic person. But I wanted to be with somebody who would truly reciprocate the love that I have to give. And the narcissists try and take that away from you. So, which I'm saying, you have to let yourself grieve and let yourself grow from that grieving. If you just allow yourself to go through those steps, because you want to get back to you. You want to get back to your authentic self. It's not that you're not your authentic self now, but there you have still been slimed. So you have to scrape that shit off of you and get it out of your pores. You have to get it out for whatever is seeped into your blood cells. You got to get it out. You dig it? So, but yes, I was afraid to read and go deeper in my reading because with anything but the Bible or Christian literature, because that's what I was taught. It wasn't just that I was taught; it was beat into me, like literally beat into me, right? So I don't know if you guys had those types of. It's like, how dare you, how dare you question? Just do what it is that we want you to do, and let that be it, you know. So I grew up with violence. I grew up with people who couldn't take that I said no at an early age. Couldn't take it, And it's like, and I've always dealt with people who can't take rejection. That's why I stopped dating, because if anybody was, when I had to start filling out an application because it wasn't enough. In the late 90s for people just to have a job and a home and just to get along. And it was weird because it's like all of a sudden, especially lesbians, they just wanted it's like, I'm laid back, dude. I mean, like, if you're going to grow with me, but it takes time. It takes time to build a business. It takes time to build a career. And at that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. They were trying to make me be a stereotypical, black female social worker, because they were going off of my weight. They were going off of my background, and normally people with that at your weight and your background, they go into social services, and then I discovered film and I was like, gosh, this is what I want, because I've always been in the creative arts, but I just realized, and I was talking, I didn't talk to her like in a dialogue, but there's a lady on YouTube, she's called The Professional Pen. And I watch her oh God, what is that called? Snippets. She does really snippets of, and just gives little gems on, how to do better script, how to be a better script writer. Basically, that's what she's there. And she used to work in Hollywood. And so, and I think that's daunting in itself, but and so I had to pray. It's like, okay, not only did I cleared away generational curses on that, but now I have to address in this next year, address my fear of expressing my creativity, because I used to be better than what I was, and that's what was being reflected back. So when God starts talking to you and bringing up things that you thought that you had left, or like, that means that he wants you to deal with it. That means that it's time to rekindle that. That means that it's time to allow him to heal that. Because I'm like, you know what? It's like, I've been through, when you go through trauma, it kind of dulls your sparkle a little bit. You're not, and I know, I suggested a book the other day, is talking about, don't let anybody, oh God, what was her name? I think it's Doreen Virtue or Doreen Fortune or something like this, right? But she used to do the angel cards, and she's don't let anybody dull your sparkle. Well, is when you're dealing with a fucking narcissistic psychopath, that's what they're automatically going to do. These motherfuckers walk around just sucking the life out of everything, and it's not because it's, you know what I mean, they're not really being able to feed off of it. Everything just turns dead. And then they get mad because it's like, well, I have nothing to eat, like whatever. But it's not that. But if God starts dealing with you with, trying to get you to come back to a career or a passion that you had before, and they'll normally he'll start bringing up flashbacks of when you used to do stuff, or okay, well, now you're not doing this, and I didn't even ask this time, and I'm grateful that I didn't have to be picked up off the street, but once I started realizing what was happening, I said, okay, God, so please help me with being able to attack or heal, to find and discover that original wound that kept me from being creative. And I think that the original wound for me, the very first time, was when I took a poetry class, and somebody told me, do not take a poetry class because you will not be able to write poetry, right? And I was doing free verse, because my writing style seemed to be influenced by the music I was listening to. And I was listening to a lot of Dave Matthews, and I love Dave Matthews. And so, it started just turning into more free verse and lyrics and stuff like that. So, kind of like that. And so when I took the group, she was like, oh, I told you not to take it. And I'm just like, okay, well, but I did, and I got criticism from some bitch that was in menopause and was sweating and half delirious most of the time, and picked favorites, and she did not like me. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of times, that's how we start losing our gifts, because and it's not that we lose them, we tuck them so deep within ourselves, within the folds of our very being, on a cosmic level, that you ever hidden something from yourself because you didn't want to take it out right then, but you've hidden it. That's what it is. So you got to excavate, right? That's why I said we got to excavate and get to back to your authentic self. You got to excavate and get back to your creative self, right? And so if you're starting to have flashbacks, that means that the Most High God is starting to deal with you on it, and they want you to start focusing. It's like, okay, well, how, right? Because so I started asking, because I don't know, right? I mean, I've been a natural writer. All my life I've been a natural writer. That's all I've loved to do. But I noticed that with more trauma comes more stagnation, right? Maybe I stopped writing poetry especially after the Mexicans stole it and then started talking about, we know about you, we know about how you feel about this, and they started posting all of it. To be honest, they started posting all of it. So if you've ever been the target of these guys, that they love to brag. Like when I work with them on securities, especially if there's CCTV, they love to violate other people's privacy because now they feel entitled, right? And they'll record things on their phone, and especially if it has to do with something that's already embarrassing, and then they'll bring it up and use it against that person later on. You know, very, very nasty things to do, but that's what they do. And so it's just time to go. So I said, time to get back to it. And I'm like, God, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to really get back into this field. There's other things that I can do that I'm okay with, but this takes so long. But here's the first wound that I had was in that poetry class. Right. The second wound that I had was in a multidisciplinary class where a Black male teacher decided that I was not worth it as a Black female to, pretty much be educated or take seriously, you know. And this because they were testing out a hybrid class of mixing sociology with filmmaking. Okay. And so, it was a Jewish guy. And then, speaking of that, then I went to film school and then realized that that people don't care about what Black females have to say, as you know what I mean? Like they don't see us as they don't see Blacks as being good creators, right? As being, they say, oh, here are all the classics, right? They only point to Black films back in the 30s or 20s or whatever, based off of oh God, what was that guy's name? Who did the Klan stuff or whatever, right? So it was weird because I would go, be in class and I'm like, okay, so the only time, and then they do it on Black History Month. Maybe we'll give you, these are the ones that we liked, that we thought were, acceptable. not classics, but we were able to get it down, and so you so when people are trying are basically, and I had to go through that, and I got tired of it because I was so filled with anxiety that I wasn't good enough. I was so filled with I guess kind of a form of shame that I was talking about certain subjects that I felt were important, but these guys were like, "Oh, this is just this." The fact that it wasn't classic. You know, nobody talked about Tyler Perry's Medea at the time, or Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Now that was his best when he came out with his best. The rest have been, just ugh. But he's given everybody what they want. You see what I'm saying? So he's a billionaire, so he can do that. Um, and here I am, my sci-fi, surrealist dramas, so psychological dramas. Like I hit a lot of genres, and I'm having people tell me that basically the things that I want to talk about, right, like my mom's mental health or the lack of, right, my mom, and her generational. Um, uh, uh, Being violated on a generational level, right? Bringing that out, oh no, you can't do that. And then even other black people in the film industry, who are aspiring or whatever, and all of a sudden, because now you see them getting success. Here are all these black filmmakers, and I felt this jealousy. I came across the TikTok, and there was a black female creator who's a filmmaker, and she got a whole crew and everything else together, and I'm like, I can't even get people to come and support me. I mean, like, and because of the colorism that's within our own community, within the black community, because of, oh, you're not black enough. Okay, well, whatever. you know and knowing that I can't do this on my own. I mean, I can write the scripts on my own, but I can't, and even that I can't do because I have to have somebody come around and proofread it. That's not, you know what I mean? So, well, what is this going to do? Who's going to benefit from that? You know what I mean? So anyway, there's been a lot of sore spots. So now those have to be healed, because that is at the whatever you or whatever your love is, right? Like, again, I guess it just be your passion, whatever your passion is, and you still have, you obviously still like doing it, like I do. I said the other night, the other morning, that I didn't want to, continue film, but that's all I think about, right? And I had to admit that to myself when I was on the streets. I was like, no, I am a filmmaker. Right now, my career is being a security guard, but I am a filmmaker, right? And I like doing creative things. I like doing things that have to. Would love to get a side hustle as, an editor and editing films or shorts or weddings or whatever. From shooting a wedding or whatever. That's what I wanted to have as a business, was a videography production company, but or videography company, just doing weddings and all that stuff. But I've never been able to do it. And I think there's a whole bunch of stuff. So sometimes, this year you're probably going to have to go back, and you're probably going to have to, because if there's clear away any blockages that are causing you not to have the confidence that you could do your own business and stand on your own 2 feet, because people told you that you couldn't. People told you that it was worthless. People told you that nobody else wanted to do it. That's what happened with me, and it took the power out of it. Not just that, the other thing is, again, when you have a narcissistic psychopath who's in a psychosis, who's psychotic, and wants to take your life, and that everything that you do and you express, they're trying to flag or get your channel taken down, or destroy your electronics, or steal your this. They stole $4,000 worth of stuff. They stole a drone. They stole uh, my cameras. I had 2 lenses, all of that. They just stole all of it, right? They took all the electronics, and but it wasn't just the electronics that they took. They took other stuff that I was saving. They just, you know what I mean? Like, it was almost as if they were. Anyway, I don't want to go over it, but yeah. So I mean, that's disparaging in itself too. So, if you are feeling like, who's gonna, like, I used to want to do this, but I don't want people to, I'm tired of dealing with the rejection of it. And it's unsolicited rejection. Like, if I'm paying, when I was going to that school, when I was paying to go to school, I'm sitting here and I'm paying for you to teach me how to do something. And what you're actually teaching me is that you think I'm worthless, but you're going to take my money. And then you're going to keep up in the credit every semester, the price of the credits, every fucking semester, because it's just a big business, you know? So you got to heal from those things and allow yourself to be honest with yourself. It's no sense in lying to the Most High and your spirit team. You know. So these are, anyway. I'm sorry, guys. These are things that I think that are kind of important. What have been coming up for me. Everybody's different, but I know what's been coming up for me after the storm. Right, is that people are not happy that the storm is over and they cannot continue to create havoc in your life. They are going to still continue to try and agitate you, though. As you guys heard tonight, if you guys were on that section of my live, you heard me cuss this guy out and pull out my baton. You didn't see it, but I pulled out my baton and was ready to tase him because you've gotten too close to me now, and you don't have the right, even on a public street, to violate my personal space. Like I said, I'm not being paid enough to stand out here in this fucking cold and take whatever white supremacist crap that was. But like I said, people get off. Sometimes people are so bored too. I mean, it's a mixture of things. Take it just situation by situation. But people are so bored that they they will just purposely start stuff. They're just, you know what I mean. It's better. I want to crash into you. Like Dave Matthews, crash into you, yeah, baby, and I come into you. I love that song. Oh, hot. No. I won't. I'll bear you guys uh my uh my karaoke. But yeah, um, yeah. Sometimes I just start stuff with you. But yeah. So my take out of this, just to wrap up. I'm sorry, I'm droning on. But my take on this is, just from what I felt today, and I was expecting to feel something different. Expecting to feel more jubilee, to feel more laughter, and I honestly, I'm just not. I'm not. I mean, I know that that it's not going to be the same. What I'm irritated about is that the karmics are irritated, right? And so they're getting out of hand again. Like, that's what I'm feeling irritated about too. When you have people who are mad, it just baffles the mind still. And you have people who are mad that they can't get to you anymore the way that they used to. You cannot latch on to me. And I have been fighting these motherfuckers for a long fucking time, dude. And it, like I said, it's gross what these guys think. I have a thing now where I can't have things crawling on me. I can't have things crawling on my floors. I just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, because of all the witchcraft I've endured and what I've seen in the spiritual realms of these nasty, rotten, disgusting rapists. These guys that fantasize about having sex with animals, having sex with kids. Like, if I had kids, they would try and have sex with those kids. You know what I mean? And I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I don't understand why people get with other people to hold them and their families hostage. That's why I don't think I'll ever be in a relationship, because number one, j- me dating you does not give you access to anything that I have or make, or my money, or my home or my kids or anything. You know what I mean? Like, I'll probably be one if I do date, so you're gonna have your own place. You know what I mean? I'm not coming to visit you, you come to visit me. Because that lets me know that you still want to see me. But I am not going to, you know, I'm not going to cater to you in any way, shape, or form. You know, um, because it's going to take me a long time to get to know you. If you're interested, fine. But me getting to know you is another thing, and I am definitely going to take my time. You know, but I remember a long time ago, a homeboy of mine suggests, he goes like, sometimes you don't need to live together, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't need to, but I thought that was like, God, I want because I was loving. I still hadn't been broken down, you know um to the extent that or I hadn't had anybody try and break me down to the extent that I've experienced recently. But now I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good, because I know I know not everybody's a narcissist, but I know I already can tell. And I've always been like this. As soon as you do something that's off the cuff, that gives me, that triggers, makes my spidey senses tingle, because I don't know, how long you're going to do it. And there's I don't know how deep is that just because, with somebody said, that narcissists, that other people cheat, other people do some of the same things that narcissists do. I said yes, but many of times those people grow. And the other thing is that not only do they grow from it, but they also aren't trying to um, unalive somebody on purpose. You see what I'm saying? They're not trying. Their whole goal isn't to try and steal somebody and break somebody down sadistically and maliciously, to be so fucking malevolent, to be so fucking evil. You see? Like, yes, you got a cheater who doesn't care because he's still a child, right? You can see that child in him. He may settle down. She may settle down, right? The narcissist, it's not that when they set it's they're still going to be doing the same thing, but the response from them is not having you breathe, right? They're going to try and tear your whole entire world down. Somebody who cheats just wants to have sex all the time because they're trying to fill a void. With a narcissist, they know that void is never inside of them, is never going to be fed. It's just, you know what I mean? This is what they do. They should just try and find somebody with the highest, so that they can make them um, less than. They have the joy of watching um, people go down. The two people, they had the joy of watching me be homeless, but they didn't expect that I would focus so much, that I would be there, but that I would be there for myself, that I would be present. They expected me when I was on the ground, on the streets, on the ground is the same thing, but when I was on the streets, they expected me to at certain stages, they expected me to deteriorate. They were mad because I had healthy skin. They were mad because I had locks. They were mad because I didn't look like I was homeless. You know what I mean? I hadn't washed in my ass in a week. Didn't say I stunk, but I didn't stink like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were waiting for me to hit those stages, and when I never did, it was like, okay, now we got to put the pressure on her even more, because now they're defiant. Now she's defying us. She's resisting um, our process of humiliation, of breaking her down. You see, because now what do you got to brag about? Because the bragging turned into fear. Because once I was able to look them in their eyes and call them what I called them, then they didn't know what to do. Sorry, I got this fat. That's what I'm saying. So a lot of these guys are acting out and trying to get, trying to. You'll have new people too, so be careful because you'll have new people who will try and start some new shit. Like it's cold as a motherfucker out here. This guy came out earlier and he was out here smoking or whatever. He went back in. Now he's come back out, and uh, somebody just thought he was creepy enough to go back to their car and was like, so he walked away. But you never know about people, like I said. But you got there are going to be some new people who are going to come in. So anyway, you guys, thank you for listening. I'm rambling on, but because I'm so tired. But yeah, it's when the storm is over, it's time for you to grieve because you're gonna see all the damage. You're gonna be able to see even more clearly now that like you're in your own body. You know, you don't have anybody trying to take up space with inside of you, right? Or trying to, or affecting your mind with their perverted thoughts or whatever, right? So you're gonna start realizing that, hey, you're gonna see. I remember again, I said this before, but one time I saw, I sat back, I was just resting, and I was laying on my bed, and I said, I was just quiet, and for some reason I was thinking about this person who was really like, this is the person that has been trying to unalive me, right? If I can't be you, if I can't be with you, then I'm gonna kill you. If you won't let me in, even in the astral realm, I'm going to try and unalive you. And so I was thinking about all the things that I had been through. And I was like really getting mad because I'm like, wait a minute, she put me through all that? You know? Like it's like what you went through, but you don't know what you went through. So now is going to be the time. And if you have to move, like I'm going to move, right? If you have to move, then move. If you have to, one thing about this siren, I will say, we have, there are, um, there are, and they just did it again. So there is an ambulance. There's ambulance drivers who literally, and I'm not kidding, because they're doing it right now. They've been doing it all night, about 3 or 4 times, and I'm, I'm not even keeping the time, but and this is how crazy the world is getting. You have an ambulance going around turning on their sirens to get through the light because they don't want to wait. I've actually seen an ambulance you're not picking up anybody. You're not doing shit, dude. Like, I mean, and I know it's bizarre, but that's what Southern California is about. And then my coworker pointed it out. He goes, they're just turning on the lights to get to the 7-Eleven. I said, what? I said, no way. And it's like, then I started seeing them do it. And he goes, yeah, I told you. And it's not funny. But, I mean, you got people who get into these fields for prestige and honor and respect, but you misuse it. You definitely fucking misuse it. So that's why when they're turning, these sirens and you go, do, 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 right, it's not consistent because they just want to get through the lights. So they're going down the whole strip, just, you know, whoop, 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 like it's funny or something, like goddamn. And of course, nobody says anything because they're going to try and keep you from saying anything. So anyway, but yeah, so when the storm is over and you start to see the debris, allow yourself to grieve, go through the steps of breathing, of grieving. And ask God the whole way, hey, what is this? I'm feeling this, you know why am I feeling this? Why is this going, you know and like I said, get out. If you can, get out of that environment, because this is what I'm about ready to do. I'm waiting, and I hate that I have to wait. That's one thing, and I know, but don't be impatient, because you may lose your blessing if you're impatient. Because I understand, God, I understand, because there's times where I'm just like, oh, let's hurry it up, but is divine timing is meaning that you could be in a vehicle for God then to bless somebody else through you, through you or with you, you know so just hold in there, because I understand, because I'm pissed off. I was like, you know what? But again, you can't get back into old behavior. So just do what you can, what you probably can muster. So, but allow yourself to grieve, because that's what, now that the storm's over, you're gonna have to do a lot of crying and doing a lot of other stuff. So anyway, I don't know if this helped anybody, but remember, your blessings are in your ashes, phoenixes. Rise.